Welcome back, viewers, to Beyond the Revenue. I'm your host, Jeff Klein. And in this episode, we're going to dive into one of the most debated topics, the evolving role of AI in sales and revenue teams. The big question is, how do we use AI as a tool to enhance performance without losing the human element that makes great salespeople truly successful? And how do we emphasize soft skills while also leveraging technology? First, AI's adoption in sales is accelerating at a staggering rate. According to McKinsey, over 60% of sales teams have already integrated AI into some part of their workflow, from lead scoring to customer engagement. Yet, despite this widespread adoption, 75% of sales leaders still believe that human connection is the most critical factor in closing deals. That leaves us with a balancing act. How do we use AI to increase efficiency while ensuring that relationships, trust, and emotional intelligence remain at the core of the sales process? For example, research from Forrester found that while AI-assisted prospecting has improved pipeline generation by 40%, nearly 70% of buyers say that they are more likely to engage with a seller who demonstrates authenticity and deep understanding. And that is something AI alone cannot provide. And that brings us to today's guest. Joe is a seasoned sales and revenue leader with 20 plus years experience optimizing go-to-market strategies and leading high-performing teams. As the director of North America at Buyer Foresight, he drove a 30% increase in customer acquisition and a 25% boost in revenue in one quarter. Previously at GDS Group, Lindio, Duarte, and Data Center Dynamics, he scaled revenue operations, led teams of 30 plus, and improved lead generation by 40%. With expertise in CRM optimization, predictive forecasting, and market analysis, Joe excels at driving growth, streamlining operations, and aligning teams for sustained success. Tell me what you've been up to recently. Tell me what's kept you busy over the last few months, year.
So I've been doing two things. One more recent, one I've been doing for the last couple of years, which is helping a demand gen agency, Buyer Foresight, build out its footprint in North America. They are a prospect intel house, but most of our prospect intel is leveraged through events. Events for B2B tech companies where we guarantee every attendee is a 100% match to their ICP. What makes it special, because I've been in the event industry for a minute, working with marketers, working with sales leaders, is not only is every attendee a 100% match to their ICP and they get to decide who they want in that room, they're able to foster authentic relationships because it's all about conversations. So presentations are forbidden. There's no decks. You're not sharing a slide. You're not asking somebody to review gated content before they show up. Bring our prospect intelligence to bear so before you show up in a room with these prospects, you know where they sit in the decision-making process or what their budget looks like or what their tech stack is built to look like. But because they're going in there having conversations and just listening and feeling that pain, they're able to schedule the one-on-one sales calls that drive real revenue. Because I tell sales guys all the time, just shut your mouth. They're not there to talk to you. And if you're smart, they're going to forget you're in the room. Because hors d'oeuvres, there's a drink. Dinner, there's a drink. Subject matter experts digging into real challenges. I tell my clients all the time, what's the pain that wakes them up, that makes them piss the bed at 4 a.m., that's going to drive them, literally and figuratively, an hour out of their way to sit down with strangers? Because that's what we're going to press upon them. So when they're having these conversations and the sales guys are just keeping their mouth shut and actively listening, they're going to walk away with all sorts of intel because they blend into the background. And now it's their ICP talking to other people that are their ICP around things they would never share with a sales guy. Because they know if I say this to a sales rep ever, I'm putting a target on my back. This guy is going to sequence me out. He's going to cadence me till my eyes bleed. But they'll talk to each other. They'll talk to a subject matter expert, a product engineer before they ever talk to a CRO. So because of that, they're able to drive real revenue. About 6 months ago, because I'm open to talking with everybody that connects with me on LinkedIn, I met Joanna with Dextago. And she presented me with something that was absolutely fascinating because there are a ton of AI tools out there. AI SDR replacements, tools to coach you, to make you a better sales rep. But it's based on the paradigm of the guy creating the app instead of the person that needs to sit there and digest it, regurgitate it, and apply it. Joanna was taking actual salespeople like myself. I went under the gun to become one of the men behind the machine. So it gives you the coaching and it gives you a framework because it's built around your CRM to begin with. Sorry, my assistant decided to show up. But it takes into account real world sellers and how they've dealt with those situations. And so she just had me at hello.
Yeah.
And it's been absolutely awesome working with her. I've recently taken on a more proactive approach for her to take all of these amazing people that she's been talking to, all this awesome collateral and content that she has, and drive some revenue. Because I think what she's doing is groundbreaking. And I've been selling for 30 years, and my first sales were knocking on doors and getting things thrown at me, literally. And today it's still happening figuratively. So to have a tool, I mean, I've built 19 sales orgs from the ground up. And to have a tool that is based on the construct of your CRM and how your deals look and what a successful deal at my company with my sales cycle and my ICP looks like. And then I can just enter in my deal and it not only tell me where I'm going wrong, but coach me on it. I mean, You're talking about learning in weeks what it used to take years to learn.
That's right.
And
That's right.
It has replaced nothing, which is what I feel AI, that should be the edict with AI as a sales leader. I'm not looking for this to replace anything. I need it to enhance something, which is why everybody loves Gong or any of the tools like that, why they love the Clays of the world, because AI can come in, enhance something that allows them to be more effective without replacing something that allows them to be effective in the first place. You don't lose the human component.
Right.
In fact, I mean, the fact that there's an AI tool out there, a coaching tool that highlights the soft skills, like here's how you multi-thread, here's how you begin an authentic conversation, here's how you work through actually closing a deal. I have an example. I do a lot of consulting. I help people build sales divisions all the time. And I came across this rep that just couldn't close deals, couldn't find water if he fell off a boat. So we had him kick the tires with Dex2Go. And what the analysis revealed was that the kid was excelling at building rapport. He knew how to get buy-in. He can multi-thread like a seamstress. I used to call him the Singer sewing machine because he just knew how to thread his way through organizations to get the right buy-in. But he was failing in, let me see, what's the best way to put this? He was building rapport, but he was failing to effectively communicate value prop. So instead of putting him through a quote unquote training module that may or may not address his weak points, we were able to create modules that were specific to closing, to creating the value prop. And then all he did was go through a lot of role playing. It was role play after role play after role play where he was forced to close the deal and ask for the order and get the business signed.
Gotcha.
And I know from experience back in the day, 3 years ago, that could take 6 to 8 months to invest, coach, watch it happen, see him lose deals, and then eventually get that skill set to where he was confident to do it. But there was a trail of ashes behind him.
Right. And that's the double tap as it relates to a system like that, a company like Dex2Go that's supplementing, it's replacing the bad habits of old to create a new way about it. I mean, this is a perfect example of, a strategy to leverage to increase the efficiency of reps. And because what you just talked about is, you have to have somebody identify the problem, develop some sort of plan to resolve it, have that person driving the plan, monitoring the person, monitoring for improvement. Meanwhile, you're doing a lot of this live with customers.
That's a month. So that's a month where, I'm learning, but I still have to go out into the field every day and eat what I kill. And that was the beauty of it. Like, this kid had it down in weeks and, applying it left and right. And there was no damage done to a deal as a result. Like, Joe, I'm going into this call with this guy today. Is it plugged into Dex2Go? Yeah. Walk me through the coaching that it provided. If it replaced anything, it replaced the most valuable asset every sales leader on the planet has, which is time.
Yeah.
Like, it took 6 months, it shrunk it down to 2 weeks. I didn't have to coach him. I didn't have to find the trainer. I didn't have to sit through one-on-ones and spending my time coaching. If anything, our one-on-ones were focused on the coaching he'd already received. Hey, saw these modules. I see you're still tripping up here, so we're going to ask you to do this one another few times. I'm going to put in more data so that we can really nail it down. And it took 3 one-on-ones over 15 working days for you to see an actual tangible difference. And the return on investment was a 15% increase in his close rate. And they're like, hey, what'd you do, Joe? What did I do? I did what Alana told me. I spoke into the machine for 6 hours. But that's how it should be used. That's the place of AI. Like I see a lot of people that want to use it to automate at scale, and nothing makes me more sick. Because whoever said scale works for marketers. Scale works when you're trying to cast the net. Every salesman worth their weight in hay is going to tell you that they've gotten more success with personalization, with getting into the weeds, with doing the research than scaling ever did. So what are the tools that are going to assist you in being more effective there? What's going to make you more effective in personalizing your messages? What's going to make you more effective as a researcher? Where can AI enhance those tools? And there's a ton out there that do it. But the last thing I want somebody to say is, tell me how you did doing this week. Didn't have to do it. AI did it for me. Especially when it comes to your messaging, what you're saying and how you're saying it. Like
exactly.
That's where, the automation, maybe in getting the messaging out is there, but in crafting the message, certainly not. I'd rather have, and I instruct often on young sales teams, a dictionary of templates. Here are the 7 or 8 ways to tell your story. Marketing has confirmed it. I've confirmed it. More importantly, closed deals have confirmed. This is the structure of the strategy that will work. These are the challenges. These are the pains. Here's where you insert what you need to insert in order to personalize it. Here are the 5 or 6 things that, to me make up personalization. Apply it now to this message. And sometimes it'll say, put research 1 here, put research 3 here, enter research component 5 here. But you want it that way. You want it that way.
You as the human are putting the messaging and the context and the authenticity into those research elements without it just being a copy paste from some website that AI is going to just slap in there.
Hi, Jeff. I know you like the Yankees. Based on that, like all that insignificant, unresonating messaging that we're all inundated with. Yeah. And what I used to tell the teams is, through your personalization, you're going to find a hook to a challenge or a pain. Here are the 8 pains templated for you. Now, I'm not asking you to rewrite this verbatim. This is not a copy paste, but it is the structure for the messaging. It's the structure for the engagement. We know that when you talk about his pain that you uncover through your personalization in this format, it resonates. Yeah. You're also going to do these other 3 or 4, but you're going to lead here. Your first cadence is going to look like this because this is what your research has shown. Your second, third, and fourth touches and fifth touches will be based on what your competitors are seeing, what the industry overall is experiencing. Shameless promotion of the fact that you've done their research. Hey, Jeff, know you're a Yankees fan. Yankees win this weekend. Coffee's on me. Yankees lose, give me 15 minutes just to confirm that, I'm not losing my mind and this is a challenge for somebody like you. Don't care if you buy. I use that line all the time. Don't care if you buy. What I do care is that I'm helping people and that this challenge actually resonates. Right. So if it didn't, if it's not working, why not? If it is, why? And you'd be surprised. People love to talk about themselves. So I tell SDRs all the time to play it humble, come in simple, stupid, that you want to learn. And people will have diarrhea of the mouth every day of the week and twice on Thursdays.
I laugh. That's one of my favorite phrases, diarrhea of the mouth. It's just like, please, I understand showing up is 80%, but that doesn't mean showing up and talking for 80%. That means showing up and listening for 80%.
That's what I love about podcasts. I get to do all the talking. All of my,
That's right.
People say it all the time. You rarely talk during these calls. It's not what I expected. Like, I see you on a podcast. I see your posts. I see your content. I see your videos. I'm getting ready for 5 minutes of shtick and dad jokes. And you're asking me really serious questions. I can't put one with the other right now.
Yeah.
So this is refreshing.
Well, and I've always found that you can have a dialogue by listening as much as you can by talking. So,
You
and
know what?
it's,
You hit the coming of passage I give for every SDR that tells me they want to be an AE.
Mm.
I'm going to let you do a call, my man. You are only allowed 3 demonstrative statements. Everything else out of your mouth has to be a question. A question, a question. And go to town, my man.
Yep. Even if you're repeating the last 3 words of what the person just said as a question.
And it's funny that you say that, because that's people ask me all the time, I need to learn how to actively listen. Give me a tool to actively listen. Repeat the last 3 words of that person's mouth, restructure it as a question, and keep your mouth shut.
Yep.
Follow every question with a why, and get them to educate you on how to close them. Because sales is just a series of conversations that take somebody on a journey of life as it is today to life as it can be. And people ask me all the time, why am I effective at closing deals? Because my prospect tells me what I need to do to get that deal closed. And I understand at points that they're going to have a misunderstanding about what I'm talking about. They'll be skeptical about what I'm talking about. There might, in rare instances, just have a drawback that I can't change. I bring sales teams in front of prospects. If somebody told me, could I get engineers in front of data scientists? The answer is no. And I'm okay with that, because that's a deal I can't do. That's a drawback I can't touch. But you get there by actively listening. By being the one to come with 7, 8 questions, especially if you've done all this research. Use the conversation to confirm it. Get them talking. Why? How? Why? I tell people all the time, especially these inbound guys that can't seem to figure out how to start off conversations with somebody that's expressed interest. Why did you express interest? Why is this a challenge? Why are you pinging me? Why did you take this call? And sit back,
They'll
shut
tell
up, and listen. And now you got the luxury of tools that, like Fathom, that will take the notes for you, digest them in a way that you can understand, and provide you with a recording of the call. I've got a nubbin on the top of my finger from hundreds, if not millions of words I've had to write down taking notes on prospect calls and client calls since the 90s. These kids don't know how lucky they have it. Let's make that a blurb. You don't know how lucky you have it.
Well, I was telling someone the other day that, when you look at your career and the things that you want to continue to do, stop doing, or start doing, one of the things that I've started doing recently is not taking notes. That has been one of the hardest transitions. I'm in the revenue side of the business, but I'm not in sales, but still, I have stakeholders, I have internal customers, if you will. And, for me, it really has been freeing, because I feel more engaged in the conversation. And, oh yeah, by the way, there's somebody over here taking notes for me. That's also indexable. I can search within the notes. I can ask the AI within Fathom, as an example, questions and get responses, or copy and paste the whole daggone transcript in a chat GPT and tell me, what did I miss?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the beauty of it. Technology has replaced a lot of things that used to be crutches, because back in the day, before Fathom or Gong, you can miss a sentence and be done.
Yeah.
And spend the next 8 months mentally masturbating your way through a close lost.
Yeah.
And now you've
not
got
fully
the luxury
understanding why it happened. Yeah.
Yeah, without knowing why, without understanding, just an if instead of an and instead of a because, a but instead of an only. It's things like that you can catch now instantly on Fathom, that I, as a sales leader, can go back, listen to that call, and say, okay, this is where you went wrong. And that's the beauty of Dextigo, because it's doing that based on what existing deals are already. This is what good looks like. And based on that, here are all the places that you went wrong.
Yeah.
Now let's improve them. Man, these kids don't know how lucky they have it. It's funny how you talk about how freeing not having to take notes is, but how terrifying when you have to nowadays. So I ask everybody before I get into, as I get into a call, do you mind if I keep the note taker in here? Because I always assumed people liked it, until one day I came across a client who did it and almost lost them because of it. I wanted the recorder in the room because you keep screwing the pooch here. And I want a record that I told you this, that you heard me tell you this, and that we discussed this. And she's like, no recording. I was like, then I'm not talking business then. Goodbye. And her boss was
Maybe
like, did you just cancel the call of my entire team? Yeah, because it's these little discrepancies. We're talking through target account lists and ICP. And a director of automated intelligence is different than a director of AI. And that's something that gets lost on a team that I informed that to 3 days after I had the conversation. So that's where the beauty of something like that comes in. But the other day, somebody's like, nah, I prefer not having the recording in here. And it was terrifying. I'm like, now what do I do? I used to have notebooks for this. Where are my notebooks? Oh my God, all I've been doing in these notebooks is doodling. I actually need space now. And I started taking notes on the table. Suffice it to say, a new table is en route. But like, I didn't know what to do. My wife's like, you have napkins. You could have used your pants. You had Post-its everywhere. But my table is what you decided to use. And a permanent marker. I thought I had a dry erase marker. I was like, I'll just work on this all day. Newly polished table. I was like, when I'm done, I'll just wipe it all off. And at some point during the meeting, I was like, oh, that says that is not dry erase. That's a Sharpie.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. As I'm like gazing down here into my little pen cup that has a Sharpie in it, I was sort of thinking the same thing. I was like, well, if I reach and grab the wrong thing and it's just, habit, all of a sudden I've, John Hancocked all over my desk, and there we go.
All over the table. It's like a bleached out beech wood. And yeah, of course, I just went to town. My wife was like, we don't have kids in the house. What are you doing, Fontana? Like, first day, guy, first day. And I've been a sales coach to my wife for a few years now. She's built up, she's a brand rep, so she works with retailers throughout the tri-state area. She's the reason that your wife is spending $100 on a candle. So there's nothing worse when your prodigy, and she's one of the best sellers I've ever had the luxury of coaching, and the most difficult because she's my wife and I can't use any of the tricks or the sneaky sly things that I would use to get buy-in or build motivation or confidence. And then I look like a bag of Richards when she catches me writing all over her antique desk or her antique table.
Yeah, that's epic.
She's like, this is coming out of your commissions, not mine.
That's right. Even if it wasn't your fault.
No joke here, Fontana. No joke here.
Yep. That's funny. Well, you several times have touched on the training aspect, which is, an ongoing training is always ongoing from that perspective. But, you've emphasized a lot of these soft skills, coaching, adaptability, empathy, these sorts of things. And there's always the aspect of, we can teach you the industry, we can teach you these things. Soft skills are much harder to train. So I'm curious from your perspective, what do you look for in traits for new sales hires that might indicate these, or how do you generally approach that from a coaching standpoint? Obviously we could loop in Dexter with this.
To me, it starts at the interview process. So I need my hands on anybody that's going to be a member of my sales team. I want to typically be at least the third person they interview with. I don't want to be first. I don't want to be second. I want other people to vet whether or not they feel like, they've got a pulse and there's somebody that I can work with. But what I'm looking for is, hey, pitch me. Pitch you what? Pitch me you. And I'm going to be difficult and say, hey, try it like this. Take this approach. What if this changed? So I want to see how they're dealing with pressure. Do they take that coaching? Are they flustered by it? You can catch these in body signals. You can see the way their tonality changes and their overall demeanor is going to alter. And you can see, okay, all right, okay, this guy's helping me here. Okay, I'm going to try like this. Yeah, okay. Or you get those stubborn guys that are like, nah. Nope. You see it too, like, hey, we're going to have you come back. We want to hear this. We want to see you do that. And that's what I want to see. I want to see how they deal under pressure, because I know the work that goes into, hey, you've got to sit down on your next interview and pitch 10 guys that know this product like the back of their hand. And I'm going to stop you 40 seconds in. Hey, Jeff, game's changed. You don't have the CEO today. He decided he's not coming. You have this guy instead.
Yep.
John,
or maybe vice versa.
Yeah. We're going to do this as if I'm listening to your call in the background and you're pitching these two guys. So I'm going to tell you what you're doing wrong as you do it. And I want to see how you apply what I tell you to do. Plus, that prior interview before, pitch me on you. You'll see. You'll see if somebody's taken the time to do the research. Can they take abuse from a total stranger for 10 minutes? No one's ever left an interview with me thinking they've gotten the job. Not
Well,
one. Most are shocked to hear from me again, and a few have lost offers. Actually, one only lost an offer. When I call back to talk to them, they're so irate. They're F-bombing me and mofoing this. Like, I can't believe you spoke to me like that. I was like, okay, can you bring that energy on Monday? What? Yeah, job's yours. I told you, first day I met you, this wasn't going to be easy. I put you through the fire. You came out toasty but unscathed.
Yep. How funny. Wow.
And they typically see it there. I mean, if you're a sales leader forever, you know body language when somebody's accepting the message that's coming across. Anybody that's got any basic sense of human rapport knows that. Okay, This guy's not getting this. This guy's not digging this. He's just not a fit. I want to hear the stories. I want to hear like, okay, how did you get here? Tell me the story up till today. Don't bother telling me about any of your jobs. Oh, your resume? I used to do this jerk move. Oh, thanks for your resume. Go. Go with what? You got 10 minutes. We've spent the last 2 or 3 interactions telling you what we bring to the table and the job and the expectations and so on and so forth. Now it's your chance to tell us why you. And I don't want to care about President's Club, and I don't want to care about your last job. If I cared, I'd be reading your resume.
Yeah. What gets you up in the morning? What gets you excited about selling?
What gets you up? What gets you moving? Yeah. And I don't want to hear, this and the thrive of that. Money. I got to pay my kids. I've got bills. I want a Mercedes. Yep. Somebody asked me to do a loom once. Some total do-do idiot was like, I want a loom for you to be the CRO of my company. I'm like, a loom? Well, why don't we have a conversation instead? He's like, no, I need a video that shows you've got what it takes, that you've got experience. I need to just see something that why you're my guy. Okay, here's why you're my guy. Sat in my Porsche with all of my watches lined up the elbow. And I was like, so this one came when I got this deal. And then a few years later, I started working with Apple, and that's how I got this one. And then I panned to the ownership certificates for them. Like, to me, watches are investments. This is the only one that will ever leave the house. Well, there's your loom, my friend. I save it for anybody that wants a loom from me. I think I'm gonna do a LinkedIn post about it one day. Just like,
that's great.
No video is going to impress me.
Right.
What impresses me nowadays is how you come correct before you're ready to interview. I don't need 80 introductions, because I can use the power of my network too and get somebody I've barely spoken to go to someone I've never spoken to and say that I'm somebody that's worth speaking to. What I like to see are guys that know how to multi-thread, that come correct, that show that like, hey man, I know the name of the game here. Let's have a conversation around it. It's how I found Phil DiGennaro, who is now stakeholder crisis negotiator at Dex2Go. We said pick a title, and that's the title he picked. I think it's the best title ever. But that's how he and I became friends in the first place. He slid into my DMs the right way, trying to present a product that on the surface looks like I'd be a fit for. But when I told him, hey, you did 5 things wrong here, if you throw 15 minutes on my calendar next week and it's easy to find that link, I'll tell you what you did wrong before your boss does, if your boss hasn't even caught it already. And so we had that conversation, and then he'd start to throw himself on the calendar and ask questions about deals that he's working on or the struggles between outbound and inbound. And slowly we became friends. And listen, that's how a lot of deals are closed nowadays. That's how a lot of people get jobs. I could be I went to 2 or 3 companies in my own job searches where I knew I was the best fit, but I didn't play golf with the owner's cousin like the guy who got the job did. And you can't be resentful of that, because I've closed more business with friends than I ever have with strangers.
Yeah, it's true. Well, and there's even a practicality beyond that, which is, you have a reliance on people that you know and people that you can build relationships with. And it's there for the reasons that you mentioned earlier. And it's not necessarily to be so blunt as to say, hey, I'm a friend of yours because I know you can make me money. But in part, maybe that is. And to some degree in sales, it's, we build these relationships and eventually they foster into something that looks like money. I mean, keep in touch with several people that sell a SaaS product. Every single one of them that I was close with since I've transitioned in my career have reached out and said, congratulations, let me know when you want to talk. I mean, they may not have said it that way, but that's what they were meaning.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And if there's a practical application, it's very obvious that I would lean into that more than I might lean into something that's completely new off the street from some random SDR that calls me.
And that's the beauty of LinkedIn right there. You have an opportunity to build a network the way networks should be built. So like, I first came to LinkedIn 10 plus years ago, and I used it as a digital Rolodex for people that I already had relationships with that I knew. Billy's my guy for that. Susan's my gal for this. You have a problem here? I got a guy. And that's how I use LinkedIn. You need problem? You have an AI coaching need? I got a guy. Oh, you need somebody for events? I got a guy. You're a SaaS solution? I got a guy. And the best way to do it is to just come into people's DMs when they accept your request to connect authentically.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I've got 15,000 followers. That used to be a number to me. Now I want to have, you're funny, but that's the message I sent. To me, my number was always a vanity metric. And now I want it to be a testament to the relationships that I have. So if you're open for it, I'd like to have some time for us just to get to know each other. I'll share the message on LinkedIn in our DMs, but it's very simple. I'm not going to pitch you. You're not going to pitch me. I just like to learn. Let's 5% accept it, but you have great conversations. I love helping job seekers and new sales reps, so I'll personalize that message along the lines of, I've got resources to help you with, again, I've got a template that I can personalize for the person I'm talking to. So, hey, Susan, I see you've got that open to work banner. Somebody tagged me in a post because they know I have some resources. I can make some introductions to help you get that banner down as quickly as possible. Here's a link to my calendar on Friday. The same way, if you're a sales rep, hey, man, just got your email. It's a dog with fleas. Give me a call on Tuesday. I've got some shampoo. Now, some will come in and be like, okay, where did I go wrong? And if you look at my posts, I'll put those kids up on a pedestal. Some of them will bring in half of their sales team, and then it's let's have some fun. Like, nobody here seems to know what's going on. So now I'm going to have some fun with 4 strangers for 15 minutes, and no one ever likes those conversations.
Yeah.
Especially their sales leaders. But it goes down to, over the last year, I've gone from 50 I got a guys to 5,000 I got a guys.
Yeah.
And
well,
the same applies on the flip side, where I've talked to a data engineer because he liked a fart joke I did. And then he talks to somebody who has a need for events. And the next thing you know, I've generated $100,000 worth of revenue.
But it's authentic. I mean, and you made somebody laugh. They had a connection with that. They reached out. You had a conversation, and they remembered you, right?
Yeah.
And then down the road, they were like, "I know a guy that does events."
Because I had to figure out.
I got a guy.
I had to figure out how can I authentically interact with an audience that sees me coming a mile away and can smell me from 5. And doesn't want me with it. Like, the marketers know the story. They know everything from your email to your LinkedIn touch. They see it coming. And if I'm not dealing with marketers, I'm dealing with sales guys. So they see it coming even 5,000 miles away. So I can pontificate on LinkedIn all I want about sales and marketing alignment, and how this deal makes that happen, and how I've done this, and all these different hoops, and all this stuff I've done, but it falls on deaf ears. But the moment I make a joke that they laugh at and then see that post, now I'm a thought leader again. I see it all the time. Like, next week, I've got a lot of announcements that I have to make around Dex2Go and buyer foresight, which is why everybody, every 5 minutes, has been getting a joke this week. And there's nothing undermining about it. But the things I need you to see will slide into your will slide into your feed next week.
Yep. That's a good point.
And that's all I needed to do. It doesn't need to be followed up with anything. Hey, I saw you liked my post, or hey, I saw you interact with this, or blah, 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 blah. There it is. I know you saw it. You know I know you saw it. That's all it needs to be.
Right. Well, the
and that's what a lot of people can't do with LinkedIn. They can't set it and forget it and realize I have to come every day. I have to put the work in every day. It can't be 3 posts on Tuesday. See you next Friday. You have to come every day. Come with a joke once or twice a day. When I see that there's a lot of negative nonsense out there, I'll even be more aggressive with the jokes. You've seen it. I got a face made for radio. I'll throw the video on. I'll have the dumb T-shirts with it. But you see that, you see that, you see that, you like it, you comment, we get some witty repartee in the comments, people are being punny left and right, and then it's boom, Dex2Go this, uppercut, buyer foresight that. And
that's right.
I'm not
and then they read it because they're already engaged. They're expecting something from you. They see it from a mile away, to your point. And I'm not trying to be deceptive.
There's no bait and switch here. It's read what you like. I'm not going to cheat. Just because you like this post doesn't mean you're my prospect. Coming to me or engaging with me in a proper, I tell people all the time, like, tell me what you do. This isn't the conversation for that. Why? Because you're my ICP. and I can pitch slap you for the next 30 minutes, or we're going to play the dance in the next 3 days when I slide you into a cadence, and you can learn about my organization the way I want you to learn about my organization, because I took the time to do research, took the time to understand your needs at your company based on your problems.
That's right.
And then share with you a story of how I can change that. And I can't do that in 30 minutes. I don't want to jeopardize our relationship, you thinking that I had this conversation because I had an ulterior motive. Do I want to pitch you? Yes. Am I going to slap myself in the short and curlies after this phone call for not pitching you? Guaranteed. But let's do this right, because that way you can like a joke, we can interact, we can slap around in a comment, and if you don't want to use my product, great. You want to use my product, great. I don't want that to define our relationship. I want our relationship to define our relationship. And that's what kids don't understand today. They don't understand that you need to get into the weeds, you need to get dirty, you need to make a ton of mistakes, but you need to be out there asking questions. And with all of the coachability I see, with all of the resilience and adaptability, what I do not see in today's seller is the ability to ask dirty, ugly questions.
Like what? Give me an example.
What does things look like if you don't say yes?
So if you were selling a product that's a nice to have, what's the down and dirty question? Because if it's a product you need, then it's a matter of being able to accomplish a goal or not, perhaps. But, you could run into this with, certain types of products where it's ancillary. It's not necessarily needed, but you could justify it through various ways, various means. Your value proposition is strong, but it's a nice to have. I'll give you an example. If you were, I'll use the company I work for now, Loom. If you have a tennis shoe and you were going to scan it in a CT scanner, or the alternative is to continue to cut it in half with a hacksaw so you can see inside it, because that's the point of a CT scan, right? What is the hard question there against the hacksaw?
Willing to lose a finger?
True. Bandsaw,
that's
maybe.
Where I'd start. You willing to lose a finger? Yeah, you have a hacksaw. You've done it 1,000 times. I've grown up in restaurants. I've been in 1,000 kitchens. Doesn't mean I don't have burns all over my arms. And I always go back down to if it isn't nice to have, why is it nice? What does that sunny, beachy, sandy shore look like, and why? Again, why?
Wouldn't you rather push a button?
Yeah, wouldn't you rather push a button? Imagine the time you have. Nice to haves means that the only thing you're granted most of the time is more time. So you have to drive on the fact that, hey, if this saves you X amount of time, where else are you going to be more effective? Well,
and that brings it full circle back to the head of the conversation, which is very much like, as we're layering an AI to different applications, the point of it is to release time. When you talk about coaching and the time burden of that, or being coached and the time burden of that, and the resource drain and potentially the revenue drain of that coaching and up-leveling process, what you get back is time. It's the same strategy. It's the same end game.
And people don't tend to realize how super valuable that is, because you're a first-time sales coach. You're doing this. This is your first 5 years of one-on-ones, which means you've done easily 5,000. Considering you have average sales team of 5 people on a team, you're doing one a week. That's it builds up. Look at all that time you've lost. I've been in sales since 94. I have lost a decade just training and developing sales reps when I could have had this tool that did it for me, and I would have gotten 5 years back, no question.
Yeah. Well, and then you spend it.
So when you was like, hey, look at all these things that happen as a result of it, I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. And at the same time, you're like, where were you?
Yep.
Where were you when I had 5 idiots that I would sit in a room? I think I told you this story where I had an SDR who fancied himself as an influencer. So I had to trick him into poor influencing so he'd stop pretending he was an influencer. And that's how bad of an SDR he was. So this SDR, we would have training all the time. And my 2 guys would come, like my 2 biggest SDRs would come to be like, everything you say, that kid just goes on LinkedIn and tells people like he came up with it. Okay.
So tell
I
him
mean, I knew
something
he was
stupid.
related to somebody within the organization, so he was not a good producer. He could barely beat his number. But I would watch him like, wow, this kid really has a following. And they all jump in, and he has answers for them because it's every word that's come out of my mouth. So one day, I grabbed my two biggest sales guys. I said, listen, I'm going to catch this kid's done today. Watch, because he's an idiot. Like, you listen to his call, uncoachable, unable to adapt, folded like a deck of cards, no empathy. The only reason he was there was because a senior leader in the organization was related to him, brought him onto his own team, realized he was as useless as a blind chauffeur, and dumped this abortion in progress on my lap. So after 6 months of, because he's who got like, showed me like, wow, this is how influencing works. And I wish I did it 6 years ago when I was working with this kid, because I'd be the bee's knees right now. But I'm a big believer in experts aren't influencers and influencers aren't experts.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Like,
so
I'm
true.
too busy doing the job in the field to train 1,000 strangers to do it. But one day I grab him. I grab my two biggest guys. I was like, listen, you just go along with everything I'm going to say to this kid. Okay? Okay, guys. You're my biggest guys. I can't train this to 30 guys, so I'm going to train it to you first. The art of telling a prospect to go F themselves. They're like, what? I go, you want to see deals close, your stalled deals? You just don't know how to properly tell them how to F off. So watch. I'm going to do a call. This is how it works. Role play with me, guys. He's like, wow, this works like a charm, my man. Like a charm. I turn to one kid, Richie, pick up your phone, dial a couple of prospects, try it out. So he's dialing 8 random numbers. He's calling my sister in Jersey. Tommy, we've been stuck for a minute here. F yourself. Sign that deal or F off. Larry, try it yourself. Let's see what happens. Blah, 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 blah. F off. We don't need your business. You're a dirtbag anyway. Who needs you? You're useless. Go F yourself. Slam. As we're sitting there, because now I've told them, play along. They're like, man, I've just lost my 2 biggest deals. What are we going to do now? Ring, 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 ring. Larry, no one's ever spoken to me like that in my life. Not only do you have the business, you're going to be my primary supplier from here on in.
God.
30 seconds later, Richie, no one's ever spoken to me like that in my life. I took this conversation to my CEO, and he said a guy like you is a guy we need to do business with. You can only imagine the posts that this kid put up like a half hour later.
Oh, my God. I can only imagine.
He got vilified. And then my manager, like
Jeez.
my boss sees, and he's like, what's this kid doing? I was like, you dumped him on me. I can't fire him for any reason. So he has just told the world that we train people to tell our clients to go F off. Does that not get this kid fired? Like, he didn't even get that he was doing it wrong. Please.
He just got promoted to a customer.
So stealing that is the best
Please
line
do.
I've heard in 2025. You just got promoted to a customer.
Yeah, love it.
Oh, man, this is good stuff. But it goes to show you, too, the things that people will listen to online and consider to be thought leadership.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Which is why I tell jokes, because I don't want to be seen as that other guy. You want to get my thought leadership? You want 20 years experience? When I say, hey, throw time on my calendar, I mean it. Fridays are all for helping others. So if that means I'm helping somebody pivot the way that they work on their career, I've made good money. I've got the watches. I've got the investments. I've got the company life to prove for it. And I was trained by strangers. I mean, I started in Wall Street, so I was in a pit with 500 other guys. My CRM was a stack of index cards. If I wanted it, I had to earn the chair, then earn the desk. But guys saw the talent and the promise in me and would take me aside. You just did this wrong. Try that. You just did this. Go with this. Hey, sit next to us tomorrow. Learn. So that and 12 years of Catholic school guilt puts me in a position that I'll help anybody for any reason if they come in correct as a sales rep should. Like Kawana did, like Phil did, like hundreds do and thousands don't.
Well, and it really comes down to just, cultivating not only cultivating your network, but also those you bring on your team and surround yourself with. It's not all like-minded necessarily, but they definitely have the right mentality, the right skills that you're not only looking for, but that are really going to advance what you're trying to do. And
exactly.
when you have somebody or are gifted somebody, to the point of your story there, it becomes uncomfortable to make that work.
Yeah, it always sucks to have guys forced upon you. Most of the teams I've built recently have come through connections on LinkedIn because it's a very small world. You can see the body of their work, the things that they talk to, how they generate an audience, how they're willing to build up their network. Are they cultivating the people that they're reaching out to? Are they trying to be authentic about it? Or are they just, pitch slapping and regurgitating other people's nonsense?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I went to jokes, because I was like, at some point I'm going to run out of stuff. I'm going to start taking other people's stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to be consistent and meaningful at the same time.
No, when you
That's
steal
always
dad jokes,
been-
it's not.
Yeah. ChatGPT is good at writing them too, I suppose. But
She's helped a few times more than that. It's funny, people are like, wow, man, you're the greatest jokester ever. I was like, I have maybe done 3 of my own jokes, man. I will steal memes. I look through Well, my wife's got Instagram. She's got Facebook. So when she sees funny stuff, I had the best joke lined up for today. And she caught me taping it. And she's like, you post that and you're really a dead man. So I had a picture, I had a video with a big eye patch on. I was like, so I finally stood up to my wife yesterday. She said, change the channel. And I said, no, I'm the breadwinner. This is my house. And if you need to talk to me, please talk to the left side of my face. I'm on my way to the hospital. She's like, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and post that. And tomorrow will be a real post. She's like, I have a company too, where people look at me. And every time you refer to your wife in these jokes, I get phone calls.
these are jokes, people. These are the jokes.
There's nothing I do that's controversial. I'm laid back I want to help other people around me. I'm laid back for a nuclear bomb wrapped in gasoline. But I come from wanting to help people. So if that means I don't have 50,000 followers and 100,000 impressions, that's fine by me.
Yeah.
Because like any sales rep will tell you, it's all about quality, not quantity.
Yeah.
I don't need
Well, and
to
again,
have...
that's one of those really undervalued skills is, when we were talking earlier, talking about shut up and listen, but there's different kinds of listening too. There's the listening to respond and there's listening to understand. And I think that those two things are vehemently different, because if you're listening to response, it's just like the thing you brought up with LinkedIn, which is if you're putting something out there with the intent of getting a response that you're going to respond to, it's that bait. You're baiting them to respond so that you can respond to their friction. It's like asking somebody a question in a sales process about what is the problem here, already knowing the answer and having your value proposition teed up. And then it comes off robotic, and you wonder why they're like, or they sit back from their chair and they're like, oh, I can't wait for this 30 minutes to be over, versus listening to their problems and hearing it. Exactly. You want to hear it and you want to pause. And it's some of those skills, the pausing, the asking the questions, which is where we started our conversation, and it not be this complex, inorganic question. It's very much, tell me more about that. And then shut the heck up.
It's a rite of passage for SDRs to have a conversation with a client or a prospect that has no demonstrative statements.
Mm-hmm.
The end game here isn't for you to preach. The end game here is for you to learn.
No, that's
what better way? No, you're not closing a deal today, but you're going to get everything you need to close this deal, either as won or lost.
Yeah. Well, but just to double tap on that point, it is okay to understand that the prospect is not actually a good fit.
Let's find that out now.
I think you and I could talk for an hour on that.
As yeses.
Those are as good as yeses.
All the time. There are yeses, there are nos. Everybody knows the yes. Popping champagne, people are getting patted on the back, people are buying Porsches with it, but the nos are just as significant. Why is this a no? How did I get here? What happened here? Was it always going to be a no, or did I make it a no? Did my product make it a no? Did my marketing make it a no? Did the way I presented, did the demo, did the disco make it a no? The smart ones are digging into that. Beauty of Dextigo is that it can find it for you before the no even starts. Which is why I decided that I wanted to be a part of this. Because knowing the no before you even start, or you input your deal, here are your no's. Here's where they're going to come from, guy. They're going to come in your threading because you're not doing this. I'm going to coach you on how we're going to fix that. We're also noticing that you're not really clearly defining the value prop because you're not asking the right questions, and your demo calls should be looking like this, but you're doing this. Now I'm going to train you and coach you to make it look like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward for the training manager, the sales leader that tells me having all of that taken off of their plate, but built around their specific needs and requirements is not a value to them. See, that's not a nice to have. That's a need to have.
That's
If
right.
you're running a sales team, if you have a long sales cycle, if you have a complex sales cycle and you need to multi-thread in numerous stakeholders, you already know what success looks like. Why not have a tool that duplicates that opportunity by opportunity, specific to that opportunity, and then giving you all the coaching that you need, so that all the manager needs to do now is Jeff actually doing these modules? No. Jeff is doing these modules. Here's where he's having an issue. Here's where he failed a couple of exams. Here's where he's not really following through with the coaching. Now I know what I need to do on my one-on-one at 11 a.m. today to get him back on track.
Yep.
There's money saved. There's time saved. There's deals saved.
That's the one thing I was going to add to the no's, which is above all of the very strategic stuff that you mentioned about the no's and the whys of the no's, the what's, the how's, the when's, et cetera, of a no. It's also that you're not, what you're getting back from a no is again, time and allowing that to be a no and moving on. Right. And maybe you hand that back to marketing for whatever reason and they go, they're back on some, messaging list or whatever. But a no is a no. It might not be a yes today. It might be a yes down the road, but it's not a yes today for us to continue this conversation. And maybe there's a relationship there or maybe there's a qualification there, but it's a no still. Right. So great. Thank you. Thank you for saving me 13 emails and literally pounding you into the ground with messaging and you never responding.
Sales guys today don't appreciate that. They're just, it's not me, it's him. It's not us, it's them. No, it's you.
Yeah.
The most thing I see often is you got the right stakeholder in at the wrong time. How many guys start at the top? Hey, see, officer, I'd like to share blah, blah, blah with you. Oh, this we really need. You need to speak to this guy who's going to put you in touch with this guy and have you have a conversation with that guy. I just see it all the time. I did a Dex to Go Deal clinic. I talk to reps all the time and they're like, it's right guy, wrong place, wrong guy, right time. It's always something simple. I appreciate tenacity and not wanting to see a deal die, but there needs to be a difference between tenacity and insanity. And just from the definition of insanity being you do the same thing over and over expecting a different result. If you go to a chief financial officer with this story and this approach, you will always fail. Now, do I have a coachable rep? I would think if I did my job right, I got a coachable rep. Okay, thanks. Do I have, an adaptable, resilient rep that's asking me the questions that they need answered to ensure that they're finding the right person, they're targeting the right message, and using the right story at the right time? Or do I just have a guy that's going to be a bartender in 6 months that insists on dragging a round peg through a square hole? It's a shame. You would think I get to go from bar to bar in the city, never having to drink, considering all the sales reps that have turned into bartenders, but it is the exact opposite. I see an old sales guy behind the bar. I'm like, next bar, man. I am not drinking a vodka and spit. No way.
Too funny.
I can't thank you enough for having me. I'm stuck against the clock because I'm about to get screamed at by some clients.
You're perfect.
But you need me for anything at any time, Jeff. I'll do this all day, twice on Thursdays.
Sounds good. Well, I appreciate you too. Really appreciate it. Really grateful you were able to make some time.